Hey guys, it is your doggo Cosmic today, and I'm here with a special guest. Say the camera, Jackson. This is my dog, Jack. He's my best friend. But, delving right into the topic of this video, do you ever watch a TV show as a kid? I'm sure every one of us has watched something when we were younger that we didn't fully grasp, and until we rewatch it when we're older, and then we're like, oh yeah, that's really messed up. Well, that's basically the point of today's video. Bye, Jack. A quick Google search for this episode yields many results, and I'm pretty sure everyone knows why this is one of the most hated SpongeBob episodes of all time. For a brief description, Mr. Krabs discovers that Plankton has been concealing a secret fear of whales. The air date, March 25th, 2010. But according to the TV guide, it actually aired on March 28th, 2010, so there's some skepticism there. This episode is basically the one episode of SpongeBob that should have been banned, that should have never been made. I've read online multiple times that the voice actors themselves were uncomfortable saying some of their lines for this episode. And Steven Hillenburg, the creator of SpongeBob, actually hated this episode and never wanted it to be made. And you will see why. So, basically, the episode starts off where Plankton comes into the Krusty Krab trying to steal the formula, as usual. And SpongeBob identifies one of his plots to obtain it, and Plankton has Krabs and SpongeBob trapped in a device and is holding them captive for the formula. It looks really bad for them until Pearl comes into the Krusty Krab, and it is revealed to us that Plankton has a fear of whales. Now, this doesn't really have much to do with the episode in and of itself, but I would like to bring up a continuity error that Plankton was not afraid of Pearl in the previous episodes, namely The Algae's Always Greener, Season 3's The Algae's Always Greener, and Season 2's Band Geeks. They both interacted with each other, and Plankton did not seem to fear Pearl at all. He acknowledged her as Krabs' daughter, which brings up a further continuity error in one of the Season 10 episodes, I think, titled Plankton's Intern, where Pearl is working for Plankton. He seems really shocked to find out that Pearl is Krabs' daughter, but in this episode he clearly knows that Pearl is Mr. Krabs' daughter. Karen also knows this, as evidenced by one of her lines in the episode about Krabs' big bad teenage daughter, Pearl. So the episode itself is pretty horrific. It includes psychological torture, and Plankton even attempts to get himself run over, which has happened before in the series. But this episode makes it really disturbing because Plankton is tortured to the point where he wants to kill himself, and Mr. Krabs is completely, not only is he okay with this, but he actually seems delighted when SpongeBob tells him that Plankton is laying in the road trying to get run over. And he even mentions that it might be going too far to put on a dress and frighten Plankton. Krabs and Plankton were supposedly best friends in their childhood, if you watch the episode Friend or Foe. Although I must warn that episode brings up some continuity errors of its own. No, SpongeBob. The issue isn't that Mr. Krabs is putting on a dress to torture Plankton. The issue is that he's doing it so frequently and so callously that Plankton basically wants to kill himself. And yes, this is in a freaking kids show. In case you guys didn't notice, there have been some pretty dark references in this show, but nothing this extreme. Like when the voice actors, and the creator of the show hate this episode so much, you would think that would be your sign to quit. But I guess they went and made this episode anyway, because why not? Why not teach kids that it is acceptable, or that torturing someone to the point where they want to die is good in a cartoon? And yes, this is a kid's show. This belongs in an episode of Family Guy, not an episode of SpongeBob, or at least some other adult show. To make matters worse, at the end of the episode, it seems like Plankton's going to get his revenge when he brings in a mime to the Krusty Krab to start freaking out Mr. Krabs, and he openly relishes it, which is understandable. Imagine being tortured to the point where you feel like you can't live anymore, and then getting some much-needed revenge on the person who instigated it. But then that's not the worst part. The worst part is that SpongeBob brings in a bunch of holographic whales to scare Plankton away and rescue his boss. I feel like this doesn't take away the horrors of this episode as a whole, and I'm not disagreeing that it should have been banned. But at least if Plankton had gotten his revenge and it had ended without SpongeBob showing the whales and getting Plankton to leave, and we just see Krabs getting more and more freaked out, that would have been a more satisfying ending than what we got. But that doesn't take away the horrors and the nightmarish and gruesome effects and imagery in this episode. It's all in all a pretty disturbing episode of SpongeBob, and as someone with severe anxiety and obsessive compulsive disorder, it is very difficult to watch. It is very difficult for anyone who's ever had depression, who's ever been mentally unwell, and this episode actually gets pretty sickening. From the gross out imagery to the delight on Krab's face and the pain in Plankton's voice and words as he attempts to get run over in the street. This is just an episode that deserves all the hate and negative recognition it receives. Some people say that it's overhated, but you can't just say that it's overhated and disregard everything that this episode portrays. It's one of SpongeBob's most lowest points, and it's basically the worst episode in the entire series. I would actually advise viewers discretion while watching this episode. If you want me to make more SpongeBob videos in the future, you can let me know, and you can always give me suggestions down below. I do not own any of the pictures or the thumbnails in this video. I just made it in the order of my choosing. But yeah, anyway, this episode should have never been made. Well, until the next video, I will see you then. Keep calm and walk your dogs.